every lunch if you're down at Whole Foods grabbing a sandwich. And when you find yourselves in this kind of situation, it's when you all pull together, as it sounds like what happened in this case.
And sadly, they might know the victims who were injured. And again, as we've been telling you guys, one person has died from their injuries. We got to hear from officials at Grady Hospital today who received those 4 victims. Let's listen in on what they revealed to us at a press conference earlier.
That we had a mass shooting down the street. 4 injured people were brought here. No other injuries occurred that we know of, and nobody was taken to the other facility. The 4 that were brought here, 3 are critical. 1 is still in the emergency department. The others are upstairs being treated. 2 in the operating room, and 1 in what's called interventional radiology.
All right, so you heard there from Grady officials that they are treating 4 people at this moment, 3 in critical condition. 1 was still in the emergency room, and they had to activate their mass casualty event protocol to make sure all hands were on deck there at Grady at their trauma center to help whoever they could. Even chaplains were there on call as part of their protocol to make sure everyone got the help they needed.
And so we just got some new information as we were listening to that sound. Apparently Atlanta police has lifted the shelter-in-place order that was in that area where the shooting scene happened on the 1100 block of Peachtree Street Northwest, where all this went down. The Northside Hospital building, Whole Foods, Alston Bird, several other law firms, a residential apartment complex right across the street. Just to familiarize you where all of this happened, Crime Stoppers is now offering a $10,000 reward for information that is leading to the capture and the arrest of 24-year-old Dion Patterson, who police say carried out this shooting today at the Northside Hospital medical building there on West Peachtree. And here you take a look at his driver's license photo. He apparently is on the run, we understand, in Cobb County. He was driving a carjacked vehicle, which was reported earlier to have been a white Tacoma. We're uncertain of that right now. But Fox 5's Morris Diggs, who's up in Cobb County working with authorities to gather information for us up there, report that both Smyrna police, Cobb County police, and you have to imagine other jurisdictions are now fanned out across the county looking for this man. Yeah,
look how quickly he was able to flee from one county to the next within the time when the shooting happened to now. So they, from what we understand, are searching for Dion Patterson on foot near the area of Campbell Middle School. We've mapped out where the shooting scene is in relation to where Campbell Middle School is in Smyrna. APS having to issue a hold on their release for some of the middle schools in the area for the Washington and Midtown clusters. If you have a student or students who go to school in those clusters, the release dismissal today has been put on hold for now, while again this fluid situation continues to change and develop. We're talking about an individual who potentially not only caused this shooting in Midtown Atlanta, but carjacked someone. So this person is considered not only armed, but dangerous. Yeah, you're asked to stay away from the individual, but if you happen to see him, to call 911 immediately. I want to give you some information that Eric Perry gathered for us earlier today when he was talking to one of the medical professionals there in the Northside Hospital building, and talking about that this might have unfolded on the 11th floor of the building, which is described as a general medical clinic. Maybe general practitioners, doctors practice there. He said that gunshot was heard on that floor and that a pool of blood was seen in one of the elevators. Eric also reported that it is being speculated now that perhaps the shooter may have been confronting people either getting on or getting off some of those elevators. Yeah, and it's frightening just to think of that as we go about our days every day, having to go to a doctor's appointment or do another kind of errand, and then to be faced with this. It really is not something that anyone can really prepare for emotionally, at the very least. Our Deitra Dix has been on the scene for us, among the many crews on the ground, doing a fantastic job just being our eyes and ears. So Deitra, are you seeing the same high level of police activity where you are? And give us an exact location of where you are.
I got you now.
Yeah, we're not seeing the same level of activity as we saw even just the past half hour ago. Joining you live again, Christine, from West Peachtree Street at 12th Street here, just outside the hospital where this all unfolded. We have just learned that the shelter-in-place order has been lifted. Atlanta police, however, are still asking people to stay out of the area. We also have just learned that a $10,000 Crime Stoppers reward has been offered for 24-year-old Dion Patterson, the individual who's been identified as the shooter in this case. 24-year-old Dion Patterson, a $10,000 reward now being offered by Crime Stoppers for his capture. We also have learned that APS is holding 2 schools in the area. Parents being asked, although, as Christine, you said, parents know that when something like this happens, you immediately want to report to that school and get your child. But APS is asking that parents do not report to those 2 schools that are on lockdown or at this time. We are also seeing some people who have been held here at the hospital, both patients and medical personnel being escorted out of the building within I'd say the last hour or so. We also talked to a few people who were here for procedures when the shooting happened. One gentleman who said he was on the 9th floor, telling me that he has a military background, and so he automatically kind of went into that mode where he helped keep people calm there on the 9th floor as the medical staff, which he said they did a phenomenal job locking doors, doing what I'm sure they have been trained to do and have been drilled on repeatedly to ensure that their area was on lockdown as much as it could be given the situation, saying eventually that they learned that the shooting had occurred on the 11th floor. He said that at one point they saw movement on the elevator and they were very alarmed, as you might expect, not knowing who would be coming out of that elevator, and were relieved when Atlanta police and SWAT were the ones who came out of there, and they knew that they at least were safe. Once again, those people now making their way out. Also talked to a young man who said that his mother was an employee there at the hospital, saying she was unharmed. He did not want to go on camera, obviously very shaken, understandably, saying that his mother very upset as well, and that at this point he was just here waiting beyond the police tape to lay eyes on his mom, to be able to help her and bring her home. So that's the situation at this point. It doesn't look like this area will be released anytime soon to the public. We are told that at some point we will be police will be holding a news briefing here, but as it stands now, this area is still closed off to the general public, told to stay away, although once again the lockdown has been lifted for this area. Christine and Tom.
Does it appear, Deitra, that I know you said beyond where you are, no more vehicles are being let through, but does it appear, as wide as the perimeter was, that some roads are reopening? I saw a couple cars pass there behind you.
A couple of cars are passing, but there's still a checkpoint, so to speak, where I would say no, you cannot still, freely make your way back and forth here. It is mainly media here, kind of on the perimeter, as well as anyone else who is trying to make their way in or check on someone to make sure they're okay. All of these intersections leading into the actual crime scene still remain closed off. You might expect, though, as this lockdown is lifted, that as we move out from the immediate scene, if there were additional streets that were closed off to the public, that there might be some easing of traffic or perimeters as far as that goes, that they may be allowing people in some of the outlying streets to make their way to their residences or to businesses, things of that nature. But as far as this immediate area, police are asking, and just from our vantage point, we would also strongly suggest that anyone who does not have business down here stay away.
Yeah. You can imagine how rattled people are who work and do business down there, might have going in and out of Northside Hospital Medical Building there, how rattled they were today when all of this skilled and adept these officials are at responding to a situation like this, which becomes an all-hands-on-deck situation, not only at the scene here in Midtown, but extending to all the way where this suspect was last seen, and that is in Cobb County. We want to get out to Fox 5's Morris Diggs, who is near the Campbell Middle School, where authorities believe the suspect may have ditched a vehicle that he had carjacked earlier in the day. Morris, what more do you know from where you are?
Well, let me set up what multiple sources from multiple agencies are telling me. They believe this man left the Atlanta Midtown area more than an hour ago, somehow was able to make it up to Smyrna, unsure exactly how. But they had a report of a male driver in a white, believed to be a white Tacoma, getting carjacked on Spring Road, the Spring Road area of Smyrna. Now, behind me, within the last 10 to 15 minutes, there was an enormous presence of police officers in and around both sides of the school, as they got a report that the suspect, who they believe to be the suspect, keep in mind these are reports coming from civilians to police, they believe that he ditched the car and started running. And so we've seen cars go up and down Atlanta Road, Campbell Road, Spring Road in the Smyrna area. They had been over here to Campbell Middle School getting a report that someone may have come on the campus over here. That apparently has not checked out. They have checked the school and everything, so he could still be on the loose, possibly on foot. But sometimes when you have these situations, what the suspect will do is carjack somebody because they need to be able to move. A short time ago, I spoke to a parent who has 3 children in the surrounding schools here, including this one across the street. Her name is Sarah Turner. She told me that at one of the schools they issued a special safety code. Here's part of what she had to say.
Yeah, I have elementary, middle, and high school. So that's why I actually happened to be checking my elementary child out, and I saw police cars going into the parking lot of the high school, which panics me because I have a high schooler there. So just chatted with her, and she said, look, there's a friend of mine. She said that they were in a code yellow, and I got nervous when she said that because I know they trigger, the code yellow triggers with all the schools. So that's when I came down here immediately to see, and that's when I saw all the police coming into the middle school where my son is.
Okay, so then recapping, the way, a significant way in addition to civilian reports, sightings, another way that they've been tracking this suspect is through license plate readers. Atlanta has them. Cobb County has them. I've been able to speak with officers here, local officers, and they tell me that there had been a couple of different hits, and then it would get quiet, which seems to suggest that perhaps he may have parked a stolen car, and then he starts again. So that's a bit of a cat and mouse game going on up here in Cobb County with the coverage still circulating around Smyrna. So we're going to get any more information that we can, and then we will relay it back to you.
And so, Morris,
reporting live from Cobb County. Crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
Morris, real quick. And so we're unclear whether the suspect is on foot or he might have perhaps carjacked another vehicle. We just don't know. But I'm real interested in your perspective, what the response looks like among local authorities up there and how they cast a net over that area. You've covered so many of these stories to try to track someone like this down.
Well, as you would imagine, with Atlanta being the venue where this all happened, we have seen several Atlanta police officers drive from Atlanta up to here to join in the search for this man. So it is really an all-hands-on-deck situation. The officers, they have computers in their cars. I've been shown information that they do have in terms of tracking, trying to track this individual. And again, the license plate reader plays a key part, along with of photos. I'm not sure how many we may have that's been released so far, but there are very clear photos of this individual suspected in these shootings. Back to you.
All right, Morris, thanks for some of that critical information coming out of Cobb County. We just heard now an update from Atlanta Public Schools. I want to go ahead and share that with you. And it says that they have released, from what we understand, students now at this point. Atlanta Public Schools saying they are releasing students from school with this situation happening near Campbell Middle School. And what's the active crime scene still in Fulton County. Atlanta Public Schools was taking an abundance of caution, trying to keep some of the schools in the Washington clusters on hold for dismissal, but they are now releasing students.
And so this is where this crime scene, if that's what you want to call it, has shifted focus now. Fox 5's Morris Diggs reporting to us from Cobb County and in the Smyrna area, around the Campbell Middle School area. That is where the suspect is presumed to have been last seen, 24-year-old Deon Patterson. The man who police say opened fire inside the Northside Medical Building in Midtown Atlanta about noontime today, killing one person and critically injuring several others who are now being treated at Grady Memorial Hospital. We heard from officials there from the hospital who are treating those victims, who said that they were prepared for a mass casualty situation such as this one. So they have their hands wrapped around this situation. And of course, our reporters are fanned out across the area.
Let's go to our Rob DiRienzo, who's been on the ground there in Midtown Atlanta. Rob, with the huge presence that you guys have seen there in Midtown, it's pretty shocking that this shooter was able to get away and potentially now be in Cobb County.
Yeah, it's remarkable, Christine, especially
you have to come down on him a little bit.
That just poured over Midtown moments after this happened. As I
not addicted to me.
Earlier, I live a few blocks away. I ran over and it was still a very active situation earlier. As you've heard, it has since calmed down. I want to take a step out of the way to show you what the scene is looking like down West Peachtree Street. You can see that is obviously all still blocked off as police continue their work, but we have seen less of a presence here within the last hour or so, I'd say, and police vehicles and other emergency vehicles continue to be leaving. You can see traffic is starting to come out of one of these side streets or perhaps one of these parking decks for the first time. This is
I'd be caught up in this crap while they're searching for this guy.
Streets. Now, a little while ago, I spoke to a woman who works inside that building. She wasn't inside at the time, but she quickly ran to her car.
If he's running around
Take a listen.
Cobb County catches him?
It's really, really surreal. You know, like I said, I feel like you hear about this all the time and it doesn't, cross your mind that, you could be in this situation.
Yes, we're live. And back out here live, you can see, again, traffic is just starting to flow on West Peachtree, and it appears as if the scene is starting to clear. You can see people are leaving work after a very long and stressful day. These motorcycle officers right here firing up and getting ready to clear out. So again, the focus of the investigation has shifted away from Midtown and now elsewhere to wherever this suspect is. But again, it's still a very active situation as the shooter remains at large. That's the latest from here, live in Midtown. Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
And Rob, I was watching you report earlier this afternoon when you were fresh on the scene there. It is noisy behind you, but the ferocity with which police were carrying out their investigation in the immediate aftermath of what happened here. Looks like the shot is pretty unsettled here. You see the SWAT team rolling by, but they said if you don't move it, we're going to throw you in cuffs, underscoring the importance of the response of what was happening. You were just trying to gather information, but it was quite chaotic there for quite some time.
Exactly, Tom. It was a really stressful scene, and as you can see, those SWAT teams now rushing back down this one-way street in the wrong direction back towards the scene. We're not exactly sure why. But yeah, when I arrived here, it was chaos.
Oh, shit, they're going
and again,
back to
those
the
officers
scene,
were threatening me with arrest. I told them I'm just a journalist trying to do my job, and we, of course, moved back when they instructed us to. But it just goes to show how uncertain it was in those moments, and even still, as a suspect is at large.
Yeah, we're seeing some officers from one of our other cameras here running with, in one case, a weapon drawn toward what, we don't know, but this is West Peachtree and 12th Street, running back to their vehicles here. So when we talk about things being a fluid situation, it's changing constantly. Details will come in and then change, just as until authorities give us a press conference, which we hopefully will see them do here in a matter of minutes.
Must know where he's at.
We're having to rely on just some of our live pictures and what our crews are hearing on the ground.
These are some really extraordinary live pictures. You're watching this as we are unfold. We don't know where this investigation is headed. We understood from our Morse digs that Atlanta police were responding all the way up into the far reaches of Cobb County, where their suspect, 24-year-old Dion Patterson, was suspected to have been last seen. There's just a sudden flurry and burst of activity here. We had understood that this scene has kind of calmed down somewhat, but they're putting back up police tape here and cordoning off this area as investigators, the SWAT team, and Atlanta police move their resources just down the street here. Again, this is 12th and West Peachtree, just only feet away from where the shooting happened today at around noontime, right there on the 1100 block of West Peachtree Street in the Northside Hospital Medical Building, next to the Whole Foods, where the suspect opened fire, fatally shooting one person and critically injuring several others. So we're sort of watching a puzzle here come together and showing you these live pictures and watching along with you as Atlanta Police and several other agencies, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Cobb County, and Smyrna Police pool their resources in search of the suspect.
Now we're hearing that there's a flurry of activity, Tom, at Peachtree and Ponce. And we know how busy that area is with all the shopping and businesses there. So we don't know if it's connected to this in any way, but this is a big city. Something else could be happening that very well could not be connected to this. We just don't know. But this is just some of the activity that we're hearing and seeing. I guess these officers have to kind of walk and chew gum at the same time, right? They have to know how to answer to, let's go to Deitra Dix, who's there now. Deitra, what do you think this activity is from, or just what are you seeing?
Yeah, literally just within the last 30 seconds to a minute or so, it was actually a pretty calm scene out here. Then all of a sudden we saw Atlanta police officers running with long guns, and we were hearing them yelling out, Peachtree and Ponce, shots fired. And that is when you saw them jump into the cars and just head down this way towards that direction. And we haven't gotten any information since that time. But when I tell you we had several officers leaving this area and headed in that direction, that's what we saw occurring. We still have some officers here on scene, but from the number of officers who headed in that direction with their long guns, very quickly, we are not assuming, but given what was going on, or here earlier today in the search for that suspect, definitely a possibility that there could be some tie to the activity, the shooting that we saw here earlier this afternoon.
And Deitra, just give us some perspective, if you will. Peachtree and Ponce is how close, for those who don't know, to the original scene there on West Peachtree?
Very close.
Well, Peachtree and Ponce is not close. It's not close, so it's still some blocks away from where we are right now. It is a bit of a drive, although we had some media crews also trying to relocate. Okay, we're just being told now. Okay, can you tell us anything about they're not giving us any information as far as what the shooting, possible shooting situation is on Ponce, but we still have a lot of activity. Excuse me, there's just a lot going on right now. I'm trying to take it all in as I talk to you.
Sure.
But again,
we
have just a lot of activity here. Cars still leaving the area is cars even at the same time. We see more cars arriving here. We've got some sirens going off in the distance. So just, as you know, Mo is in Smyrna. We're here in the city of Atlanta. Just a very fluid situation as there's just this this very active situation, this search, trying to locate this individual before, God forbid, anybody else gets hurt or killed.
And so if you could just stick with us for 1 second, Deitra, because I know you're waiting for Atlanta police to give you that update right where you're standing. But so that flurry of activity in just the last 5 minutes, you think you overheard what on the radio chatter or somebody mentioned something like shots
fired? It was not
fired?
radio chatter. It was not radio chatter. It was actually some of the officers here on scene yelling, giving direction to other officers as to what the situation was. We've got a heavy SWAT team activity here, as you can see, coming through. Fulton Police SWAT Special Ops coming through. Fulton County Sheriff's has been assisting in the search for the suspect.
Yeah, we want to stay with these live pictures.
It's been good.
Because we don't know how this may or may not be connected to the situation that unfolded.
I mean, it's a big city. We know the level of crime that we've had to cover here in Atlanta.
You might be having some crimes of opportunity. You know what I'm talking about?
They're potentially going to at Peachtree and Ponce.
You know the cops are busy with this, so somebody's going to go commit a crime somewhere else because the response time will be slow.
And gives us just some more detailed information that they can confirm. We really just don't know. We're just at the mercy of the activity that we're seeing and hearing here on the ground.
And so this is an extraordinary response that is happening now on so many fronts by so many different agencies around our city. One that's unfolding there at the crime scene near the 1100 block of Peachtree, now one near Peachtree Road and Ponce de Leon, where we're getting reports of shots fired perhaps, and a movement of resources to that area. And yet another scene unfolding up in Cobb County and in the Smyrna area, where the suspect that police say carried out this shooting earlier today might be on foot.
Yeah. Again, I mean, at the heart of this is the person who is suspected at least of causing the scene at Midtown Atlanta is still at large. They have not found this individual, and you can see in the images and the surveillance images that have been released to the public, you see him on surveillance, weapon in hand, pointing it. So surveillance was able to capture some of the frightening moments that some of the folks there at Northside Hospital Midtown had to go through. So being that this suspect is at large, it's still a critical time for them to catch this.
Interesting to note here, Christine, is because the images that we're putting up on the screen are so critical to this investigation. We have his driver's license photo, and then the images here from just hours ago when the shooting was carried out. How different he may look. Looks like he's a little heavier here in his driver's license photo than he is in the shots that were just taken today. So, visual muscle memory is important here as police ask the public to be on the lookout for this man, 24-year-old Dion Patterson, who's considered armed and extremely dangerous. They want to put every image out possible. This is obviously a dated shot of Patterson compared to the images that we're seeing from when he was allegedly inside that Northside Hospital medical facility there on 1100 West Peachtree Street.
Well, he's not wearing orange. He's got some kind of like a jacket on. It's puffy collar
the public
there.
was critical in helping the last situation when we had a mass shooting there in Midtown find the suspect involved. So again, it's just critical that the public calls 911, notifies officials if they see him. This is not someone you want to approach by any means.
Driver's license photos are blue.
They say he is dangerous, so just use your head and call authorities if you spot anyone who looks like this individual. Again, his name is Dion Patterson. He's 24 years old.
Yeah, people are paying attention on our social media channels. We're putting out information as it happens. Obviously, you were reading some comments of our viewers. People dialed into this concerned about what happened. Nobody likes to see this kind of situation unfold. It's happened just on too many occasions. The one in August, obviously fresh in our memory, from when the female suspect opened fire not far from where this scene unfolded today, and just based on technology and resources from our local authorities, was captured only a couple of hours later at Jackson International Airport remarkably wearing the same shirt
same
that she was wearing when that shooting unfolded.
When we give you just kind of the mundane details about what they're wearing,
turns out to be so important.
It's so important, and it matters in all of that. You know, Northside Hospital, you have to wonder, how do they operate tomorrow? Are they in operation right now? I know they released a statement acknowledging that this took place at their facility at the Midtown location. They say the tragedy is affecting all of us, and we ask for patience and prayers at this time. You know, you try to prepare for something like this when it happens, but
you prepare for this crap.
When you're in the midst of it, it's just really difficult to know how you'll respond.
I want to put up a statement from the Atlanta Police Department, who have been in constant communication with us as this event has unfolded. They've been talking about their response to the situation. This is from Atlanta Public Schools, who's also dialed into this situation. We think of the children in the schools where somebody like this might be headed, and your automatic thought goes to the safety of our children. Atlanta Public Schools saying that the police department's in contact with Atlanta Police, and they've assured us that we are clear to release all APS students in all schools at this time. Out of an abundance of caution, they kind of kept everybody in place, asked parents not to come pick them up, but apparently that's been lifted.
Yeah, and if you're a parent, I know you're relieved to get that sort of statement. When I heard Campbell Middle School, I thought at 2:30 in the afternoon, that's like the heart of when kids are still there and soon to be released. So good to see that they've been given the all clear. Again, these were the Washington and Midtown clusters that were affected specifically for Atlanta Public Schools. Students have been given the all clear to be released.
If you're just joining us, our Eric Perry is there live in front of the Northside Hospital building. He interviewed somebody who was in the radiology department of that facility. There are many offices in there. There's a plastic surgeon's office in there. Northside Hospital has a lot of doctors' offices in there. And he had interviewed one of the eyewitnesses who said that shots were heard up on the 11th floor of that building. And we talk about the whys of why this might have unfolded. And as we said, it's nearly impossible to get inside the head of a madman, somebody who opens fire inside of a facility like this, and try to explain why and what might have happened. But up on the 11th floor, that's where apparently the shots were heard. A pool of blood was seen in one of the elevators. We talked about the familial feeling inside of that building, these people who see each other each and every day getting out of there at the orders of police and gathering at their stations where they've been so trained to gather in the event of emergencies such as this one.
Yeah, and again, you wake up in the morning and this is not something you think you're going to be experiencing later in the day. So we really sympathize with the folks who were so frightened today when this all went down. We're just going to continue to show the image of 24-year-old Deon Patterson, again, who authorities are looking for, believed to have maybe fled on foot in the Cobb County area. And, you know, if you recognize anything or have any information, you know, we've covered stories like this where there were maybe some clues ahead of time. Maybe the suspect said something ahead of time leading up to the actual event happen. If you have any sort of information like that, that is critical for police to know. Maybe he said something, maybe he did something, maybe he posted something on social media. We don't know, but if there's any clues like that that you might have, this is the time to see something and say something.
And so we're waiting for Atlanta Police to give us a briefing there where Deitra Dix was standing by on 12th Street and Peachtree, I believe, where we saw that flurry of activity and reports that shots may have been fired not far from the scene on Peachtree Road and Ponce de Leon Avenue. We're still investigating that angle of the story and where those authorities were going, but Atlanta Police promises an update within the next couple of minutes. The second that happens, we'll be providing that news conference to you live. It was interesting to hear what officials at Grady Memorial Hospital had to say and their response to this whole situation. We talk about the preparedness and the training among police and authorities for active shooters. You got to think that officials at a trauma unit like Grady Memorial go through the same thing. And so the response team, we're told, was prepared for a situation like this. They were ready to receive the victims that were brought in there today. One was shot fatally, we understand. 3 are being treated in critical care. I think I heard 2 were in surgery. But just the extraordinary lengths and efforts to which those folks go to try and save these victims.
And it's why it's so critical that they do have a protocol in place for situations like this, because potentially those 4 victims who are still there, their lives are potentially saved because of they can quickly act fast and be able to exercise their protocol that they do have in place to save their lives. And quite frankly, Grady, right now, the only trauma center that they could be taken to get the treatment with Atlanta Medical Center no longer open. So as we look at a map here of, again, where it all went down, of the 11th floor of Northside Hospital, their medical center there, Midtown location, the quick actions of the medical staff have to be commended for their work in making sure these folks stay alive and they save their lives.
So there you see the downtown connector there, just to give you some geographical perspective of where all this happened. 14th Street, cutting across that area. West Peachtree, there are many condominium buildings that are there across the street from Northside Medical, Midtown. There are huge law firms there. There's the Whole Foods marketplace. All of these venues were shut down. There was a shelter-in-place order. I believe folks in that area have been released as this crime scene seemingly keeps shifting all over the city as police look for that man on your screen, 24-year-old Dion Patterson, the man police say carried out this shooting about noontime today inside that Northside Hospital medical building. We presume from eyewitness accounts around the 11th floor of that building where a general practitioner doctor's office might have been, although that information has yet to be confirmed.
Yeah, we're getting to a busy time of the day where people are starting to go home, and some people might live in this area where this happened. And as you mentioned, that shelter in place has been lifted, and they would like people to still avoid the area. However, if you do live there, I would imagine there would be a need to get to where you live if you are close to where this crime scene is there at Northside Hospital, Midtown. But activity is just going to get busier and busier as we get to the rush hour for the evening. And again, this doesn't look like this scene is going to be cleared anytime soon. While activity, it looks like, has slowed some, there's still very much a heavy presence there in Midtown still.
Yeah, we're chasing down that situation on Peachtree Road and Ponce de Leon Avenue as police respond to reports of possible shots fired there. We understand that Senator Rafael Warnock is weighing in on all of this and is speaking now. Can we listen to what he's saying? All right, we're standing by.
This is the cost of freedom. To them, we have to say no. This ongoing, slow-moving tragedy in our country, mass shootings as routine, is not the cost of freedom. It is the cost of blind obstinance.
The absolute clown right here,
course, even when the evidence suggests we must do.
Can't subject you to him. I can't believe you all voted for him. Oh, man. Yeah, we don't want to watch him. I mean, we can
do something different,
but we can do this. Wait till he's done. I don't get it. Looks like he's in DC, and might be a green screen. I think it might be a green screen that he's standing in front of. But hopefully they don't try to start blaming guns. It wasn't a long gun. Wasn't an AR-15. Yeah, so I thought he's in DC. I just don't want to hear what he's saying because I know it's not. I'm not gonna like it. Not gonna like it. So if anything comes of this, I will jump back on here, start to stream again. So y'all can keep up with it, see what's going on. I don't know. So as soon as I get an update, I'll let y'all know.